Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 105. I'm Evan.
I'm Jim.
We've got some interesting stuff on the plate today. We're going to talk about some Comic-Con stuff. We'll talk about some movies. We're going to talk about celebrities as well, kind of some of the wonky things they're doing. And, you know, if we have time, we'll finish up with a little Disney Star Wars news, and we'll go from there. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing okay. Not too bad. How you been?
Not bad. So I pulled out of my driveway yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Had to take my partner to a doctor's appointment. Okay. And I'm fully pulled out, and this lady decides she's going to drive into my car.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Smoking her cigarette.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Crashes right into the car. So I'm like...
Really?
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be a whole fucking all-day thing now. No damage to the car.
Oh, good.
Right? Like a little scuff on the tire, and her car was fine. So I walked over to her, older lady, and I said, you all right? And she said, yeah. She goes, I didn't see you. I go, well, I would hope so. I thought Right. So she started laughing, and she said, do you guys want to do the insurance? I said, there's really no damage. I said, I'll leave it up to you, but I'm good.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, we don't have to do it. She's like, but if anything comes up, I live down the street. I said, look, I'm glad everybody's okay. I said, that'll wake you up better than a cup of coffee.
Right.
But, you know, shitty that it happened, but fortunately it wasn't enough to get the, the insurance involved.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So, that was the start of my day yesterday.
Great.
So we had Rhode Island Comic-Con.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could have gone, but, I know. Shit happens.
Hey, life.
Yeah.
But what an experience.
Yeah, that's great.
Was. Now, I've been as an attendee before. Mm-hmm. And as an attendee, it's crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course.
But being there as a vendor / artist is a whole different... I mean, you're there before the con starts.
Right.
We had celebrities coming up to the booth before the con started. And you know me, my head's up my ass.
Sure.
I don't even recognize these people.
Right.
So I'm just talking to them like they're regular people. And then, my buddy who was there running the con with me was like, dude, that was so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Right. Sure.
But for me, I love doing the cons because, obviously it helps with the business, but it's just so awesome to be able to, I mean, we're nerds.
Right.
At the end of the day, like, we didn't get into this business because we were like, oh, it's going to make us $1 million. We're nerds and we love this stuff, and getting to meet other people that love it as much as we do or more, and they get excited about the things we're doing, and we have these amazing conversations, is just, I mean, there's not even a way to describe it.
But, it's the validation of the hard work. I mean, the thing is, you can go on our social media pages and you could look at what we're doing, but unless you're doing it as well, it's very hard to understand how much it takes to be creative, to do the process, to come up with the ideas, to do the artwork, whatever it might be. There is a lot to making it happen.
Yeah, there are different layers to it too, because I mean, like, obviously the artwork takes up a chunk of time. Mm-hmm. And I know people that are just doing the artwork and outsourcing all the creation and everything. Right. And like, I get that, because if your creative juices aren't flowing, like, there are weeks where I'm just like, I can't draw anything.
Right.
But, the other side of that is the actual manufacturing aspect. Mm-hmm. And it does give us a leg up. We don't have to charge as much for our products. Right. We get full quality control over them. And I mean, I think it shows. I mean, you look at the Etsy store, we're coming up on 1,000 5-star reviews.
Right.
Like, we really try to, look, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? We all got to keep the lights on. But I don't want people to buy something from us and it's mid-tier or mediocre. Like, I want you to get the best bang for your buck. Like, believe me, and Jim will attest to this, I have spent late nights.
Oh, yeah.
Just, killing myself to make sure that the coasters look a certain way or the T-shirts look a certain way.
Yeah, not skewed on the front of the T-shirt. Just the things you need to do to make sure that they look as high quality as they can possibly look.
Right. And that's really a core of what we're doing here is that, do we have access to the big IPs? No, but at the same time, the original stuff we're doing, people seem to vibe with.
Yeah.
I can't keep that capybara in stock.
No.
Like, people really dig him.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the thing too is that it's we love what we're doing. And,
it's a dream job.
Right. But it's not we're just doing this to make money because hey, this shit sells and so we don't really care
like
about
a corporate,
it, but
like Disney Star Wars type of bullshit.
Exactly. It's like we are very excited to produce and manufacture what we're doing and then to get it out in front of people that share the same love of these IPs that we do.
And then to be able to have a conversation about where, the franchises are going and things of that nature. Like, I think it really hammers home that, like, it is to a degree a labor of love. Like,
sure.
Like I said, obviously, we're a business at the end of the day. We have to keep the lights on. So it's not like we can give it away. But, I mean, our prices are... I took a walk around.
Yeah.
Like they are
more
far below.
more reasonable than most.
Because we can.
Right.
And, I just think I mean I love doing them. I would do a con every other weekend if I could.
Yeah. And part of that being able to keep those prices low helps with getting the product out to the people that will appreciate. Because again, if it's hey, it's cool, but it's well above what we can spend, people can look at from afar, and what does that do? No, this because all the prices are so reasonable compared to the majority of everybody else, people get to actually, feel good about
I'm not trying
buying.
to keep the fandom from people.
No, and so people buy the product and because they're excited about having that product where you can't get somewhere else.
They're getting original artwork. They're getting things they can't buy online, and they're getting a quality, good. And when I first started this, I used to, you in any job, in business and in corporate, in any job, you have imposter syndrome, and I'm getting to a point now where it's like the art I still have imposter syndrome over.
Sure.
But like the product side of it, I know a good I know.
Yeah.
I feel I stand behind the stuff we're putting out for sure.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. The quality will rival anybody that's making this similar product. This is not, something that it's like, well, ours is good, but so-and-so's, we aren't at that level. No, whatever you think is top-level product, this product is right in line with that product.
So check us out. If you get a chance, go on the Etsy store. And even just listening to the cast helps us out, too.
Yes.
Again, the more people we have behind us, the bigger the movement gets, the easier it is to kind of maneuver to these bigger guys and go, hey, we have so X amount of following.
Right.
Maybe we can talk about a license and stuff and actually be able to do some of the products that we really want to get our hands on.
Right.
But can't.
Exactly. And because, we want to, we want to make products for some of these bigger IPs just, again, because it's a business and money has to be made, but that's not the ultimate reason to do it. The ultimate reason to do it is the love of those IPs and putting out product that we think is, rival to what's out there because we have our own ideas of what we'd like to see. And if we can use other IP, the IPs that exist to make our version of it, that I think that's going to be something that would go a long way to getting out to the fans and the fans really enjoying it.
And then like another cool thing is we're really starting to grow into this business to a point where like people are asking us for advice.
Sure.
And, I had a couple people email me after the show just going like, hey, I'm new to the whole art game. I'm really interested in getting my stuff out there. Can you give me some advice about, vending? And I'm happy to do it. Like, again, we're still learning.
Yeah,
and growing,
we're still growing.
But, I think we have sort of a template down at this point, and it seems to be working for us.
Absolutely.
So, if you guys are doing your own art and you ever need any advice, shoot us an email.
Yeah.
support@catalystcrafting.com, and we're happy to start a dialogue with that.
Sure.
But yeah, no, great con.
Yeah,
Rhode Island's
that's
awesome. I mean,
awesome.
It was just surreal. Like, they had Michael J. Fox, who never does cons, and just a ton of, they had the whole Hell of a Boss group. Like, that was really cool. And just a lot, and a lot of the celebrities we met, we had dinner with a couple of them. Very nice, down-to-earth people. Like, once you get the cameras off of them, they're just regular.
Yep.
And I try to tell that to fans, like, because a lot of people complain about the long lines and things, and it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, they're just people.
Right.
Like, they're given their time and energy and to be out there and, just be happy that you get to experience it.
Yep. Absolutely.
But that's enough con talk. That's enough shop talk, as they say. What have you watched?
So I only caught one thing, but I watched Maxxxine. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
I have seen Pearl and X.
Yeah. So, I figured I have to watch the third one just to see what the conclusion of it is.
Yep.
You know what's weird about these movies? You don't really have to watch one to watch the other. You know what I mean? Like, these movies
you didn't
being
really
a trilogy.
Have to watch X to watch Pearl.
No, and you don't have to watch either Pearl or X to watch Maxxxine.
It adds a little bit because the character.
a little bit. But I mean, at the end of the day, it really it's an odd trilogy where the movies are more self-contained than really where you really have to know the lore of the movies in order to follow.
Yeah, it's not a super lore heavy.
No, it isn't.
Film. I mean, it does follow what's her face's character.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's really not. You're not missing a ton if you just decide to watch Maxxxine.
No. So it was good.
Was it as good as Pearl?
Pearl is better.
Yeah.
I think Pearl is probably the better of the three.
Yeah.
And then X and then Maxxine's probably the weakest of the three.
Okay.
But there's enough there to hold your interest. It's not, like I said, it's not great, but it's not bad. It's kind of middle of the road as far as horror movies go. But, there's some interesting things. There's some, It's entertaining enough. If you like X and you like Pearl,
you'll like Maxxxine.
You'll like Maxxxine enough where it'll keep your interest for the entire movie, and you won't hate it when it's over with.
Okay.
But like I said, I just found it very odd that at the end of the day, they're really more self-contained than this is the telling of this whole story that you really need to watch all three to get it. Like, you really don't.
They don't really wrap it around.
No, you really don't need to watch all because it's
kind of an interesting way.
Because the funny thing is that, and I won't give it away, but like at the end of the day, on this one, there's somebody that it's like, stalking her, right?
Yeah.
But it has it's nothing to do with the first two movies.
Okay.
So, like, this
just
is
a self-contained episode.
Right. So, yes, if you want to know who she is, and there's a couple references of X and what happened there at the farmhouse, but for the most part, the person stalking her and all the things they're doing, really has nothing to do with any of the first two movies. So you don't really have to watch them. You won't be lost if you don't.
Okay.
But I will say this, Kevin Bacon is in it. Awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He's generally good in anything he's in.
But what about you? What have you caught?
So I watched two. I watched Terrifier 3.
Okay.
Yep. Got a copy of that and watched it.
Nice.
And it is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
It's gory, it's disgusting, it's great.
Just
David Howard
brutality.
Thornton's in full form.
Oh, full form.
I mean, he embodies Art the Clown.
Yes, absolutely.
Like no one else could.
Yep.
I kind of like, again, watching Damien's sort of journey through these films, you can tell there's a lot more coherence in part 2, and then even in part 3, there's even more.
Yeah.
And, I like what they're doing with Art. I like that he's this sort of demonic entity. And
well, you know what I liked? You know what I liked about it? I like that they are telling you that there's a supernatural element to it, right?
Right.
Unlike like Jason, why does he die and keep on coming back? Why does Freddy Krueger? Why is he like?
Well, they kind of get into in the later Freddy Kruegers. They start to explain it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like how many
Jason,
movies do you get before
right.
that happens? You know what I mean? Like
right.
at least they're getting it with Art. They want to let you know right out of the gate, pretty much that this is why he can die and come back. They make it make sense.
Yeah. And there are some laugh out loud moments.
Yeah.
I mean, the mall scene I thought was super funny with the kid opening the present.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and again, they're really doing well with practical effects. And I mean, Art is, in my opinion, up there with the with the big guys at this point.
Oh yeah.
And I'm glad.
No doubt.
I'm excited that we're doing more.
Right.
I definitely want to watch more.
Yes.
Just a great film.
Yeah, it is a great film.
And so then I watched The Substance. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Is that the Demi Moore one?
Yeah.
Okay, I have not seen it.
It's good. It's definitely it's worth a watch. It's definitely weird. There's a lot of practical effects in it.
Okay.
It's basically just a meta commentary of a celebrity trying to recapture her youth, and she finds, the substance which makes her younger, and it has its backfires, and good. Just a solid fun.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's a fun flick. So
nice.
I'd recommend that one as well. So we're eating good right now.
Yeah.
In the horror genre.
Nice. Awesome.
But if you have to pick, Terrifier 3's coming to streaming soon. I'd say
that's a must.
Down,
that's a must watch. Must watch.
And watch that. I mean, I had some awesome conversations with people at the con about Terrifier, and you can tell like he is a celebrity in and of himself at this point.
Oh no, there's no doubt. There is no doubt about it. I mean, when he goes to cons, it's a massive hit. Because I think that the character caught on. It's a character that everybody
they had someone
really appreciates.
They had someone dressed up as Art.
Oh, of course.
In the Santa outfit, doing you can sit on his lap and take a picture.
You have to.
And
at this point, you have to.
Yeah, I mean it's just I'm so happy that a small creator was able to break through.
Yeah, think about that. That's a $2 million movie, right? The highest budget they had, $2 million. That's the highest budget, and you look at what these movies are doing.
Oh, they're so good.
And if he can keep the budget low, and maybe I know he talked about shrinking the time runtime a little bit on the next one coming up, which is good.
He's a man after my own heart, where he does a lot of the stuff himself. But I think with the editing, he would probably benefit from getting someone who knows what they're doing in there.
I would think, but
because I do think they run a little long.
Yeah, and I think he realizes that, and I think he's gonna probably adjust that for the next one. But if you keep the budget low and you keep the runtime, reasonable, these things, I can't see you stopping for probably 2-3 more.
No, and the thing is, I think what's really unique about it is you have a cast that loves doing this.
Right.
So it's not, it's not, well, what's the paycheck going to be, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure that factors into it, but they love making these movies.
Right. Exactly. And because, think about the actor who plays Art the Clown, right? He could be like the next Robert Englund, where
or Kane Hodder or whatever,
where that's all they're going to do that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, based off that one character. He's at that level now where
I don't
even
think-
after
I don't-
they
who
stopped
else-
making movies,
you couldn't have anyone else play Art.
No, I don't think you could. I don't at this point because he wasn't the original.
No,
But now-
Damien has gone on record and he was like, I just wanted to get the movie made, and my buddy who was an actor
Right.
said he would step in. But I mean, now,
Yeah, now forget it.
nobody can. I mean, just even the intro scene where he's Santa Claus and he breaks into the house, and just all the pantomiming, and
Yep.
he's just incredible.
I'm saying you can live off this character now
Oh,
for the rest of
do
his
the
life.
con circuits and all that
because
stuff.
you're that iconic at this point, and it'll only get more and more as the years go on.
Yeah. So, eating good as a horror fan. I know we got Nosferatu in December, which I'm very,
wait.
very excited
Can't
about.
wait.
That one might actually, if we don't get a screener of that, that'll drag me out to the theater. Just a solid. I'm very excited. They started releasing images for the new It prequel.
Yep.
So we're eating good right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good time for horror.
What else you got for me?
So, again, we had an election, obviously.
Yes, we did. And we tend to stay.
Don't care how you voted.
Nope.
Here's one thing, though, that came to a real realization, and I think it has to be looked at.
Okay.
Celebrities don't matter in the grand scheme of things as far as their opinions go outside of what their craft is, right? You had a ton of celebrities come out, and at the end of the day, none of it really mattered, and that's because there is no movie star anymore, right? We don't have.
Yeah, but even when there was a movie star, and I've talked to you about this a little bit, and again, we stay pretty agnostic politically. We don't really like to get involved in that circle because we're artists. That's our craft, is drawing pictures, making products. That's what we're good at. We don't study politics. We don't know.
Right. And nor do they.
Right. And I think, a lot of these celebrities that have really big platforms and meet a lot of people kind of fall into this sort of, under this spell of, well, my opinion has weight.
Right. And it doesn't.
No, I don't think it does either. Like, the thing is, at the end of the day, people are subscribing to your social feeds because they're interested in your work.
Right.
Not so much your opinions or your personal life or things like that. Like, people aren't really into that sort of stuff.
Right. But what I don't get, though, is you are tarnishing your brand in some ways by doing this, and I don't understand why you want to get into that ring. Like,
I think it's just, part of it is they feel they have a moral obligation to speak their mind, and the second half of it is they maybe in a more shallow level, they feel like they're people and they're entitled to their opinions.
Sure, and everybody's entitled to your opinion, and you can, again, you can vote however you want to vote for whoever you want to vote for. That's all fine and dandy. I have no problem with that. I don't understand why you would want to get into disagreements or, about something that is not what you are,
Right. Like, here's the thing. If someone says, let's use just Mark Hamill as an example. If someone says, Mark, Luke sucks, and you want to fight with them about that, go for it, man.
Right, absolutely, because that's what you are.
But if you want to take a political stance and then you open the floodgates for all the discourse that comes with that, like, what are you even doing at that point?
Right.
Like, now your feed is just, I'm voting for so-and-so, and, the other candidate's a piece of shit or whatever. And then you kind of morph into this weird quasi-political figure, and it does take away from what you're doing as an actor, because you are isolating, no matter which side you choose,
Right.
you're isolating half of your fan base. And again, we're not a big studio, so maybe it's different when you get bigger, but like I've had people ask me at cons about politics, and I flat out to their face will tell them I don't talk about politics because I'm not a political entity.
Right.
I'm an artist. If you
Yeah.
want to talk about art, if you want to talk about whose art's better than whose, happy to have those
Yeah.
discussions. I'm not here to talk about
Right.
politics. Go watch the news if you
Right.
want to do politics.
And the thing is, right, you know, and this is why I'm saying, like, look, you can admire somebody for their craft, and if they do it better than you do it, whatever the case might be. But that's what you care about. You like them as the artist that they are in the medium that they're professional at. And but that's it, right? I mean, yes, maybe there is still, when you're younger, there is that celebrity, you look at that and there's that fandom. But we look at it as you get older, that these are just people like us that maybe have a more fun job, that get paid more than what we're currently doing in some instances. But at the end of the day, they're just people. Like, again, if you meet a Jim Lee, yes, you're going to have the respect for who Jim Lee is and
Right,
what he's accomplished.
What he's built, exactly.
But I don't care. But
I
other
don't
than
care-
that,
I don't care about Jim Lee's politics.
right, I don't care about anything else that,
Right.
even again, like, I know, Jim Lee likes the LA Dodgers, right, for baseball. Okay, that's great. I don't care either way. Like,
Right. I don't care what sports team you're into.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that I think a lot of it is this weird parasocial relationship people have with celebrities that, sometimes they have difficulty separating the reality of it, where you can admire someone for their work, whether it's acting, whether it's drawing, whether it's,
music or
whatever it is.
whatever.
But who they are as an individual shouldn't matter to you. Everybody
Right.
has their opinion. Everybody's allowed to vote for, that's the one great thing about this country, is we can vote for whoever we want. But that shouldn't matter. And because politics is the way that it is now, where especially during an election cycle, even my feeds, which are 100% artists, and 99% of the time I don't see anything except for, this is what I'm working on, here's my new piece, was flooded
Yeah.
with political stuff.
but
and
the-
it's just like, but
yeah.
I'm not into this
Right.
stuff. I cast my vote, which is my right, and I'll do it. But at the end of the day, I'm an artist, and I want to see other people's art. I don't care who you voted for.
Right. But the thing is, you don't get, and this is my problem. When you're on social media, I can't find out what these people are working on anymore.
Right.
Because they're not talking about any of their projects of
Right.
what they're working on
Right.
anymore. And it's like, well, I don't care. I don't care about your point of view of the world. I don't care about your point of view about politics. I don't care about your point of view on the economy. But what I can't understand is, Mark Hamill, what are you working on? I don't know. Stephen King, what are you working on? I don't know, because none of your social media will tell me
Right, but it's
what you're doing anymore.
It's a two-way street. Like, Elon Musk should be talking about the projects he's working on.
Sure.
Not, posting all of this political stuff. That's not what we're here for,
No,
Elon.
none of them.
We're here for futuristic technologies and where you're bringing your business.
Yeah.
I was so tired of seeing all of these different celebrities, Elon included, posting about their candidates. If you want to say, "Hey, go out and vote," it's voting
Right,
day.
sure.
No problem. But you're not on the campaign trail.
Right.
You're not a politician.
Right.
You have no plans of running for office. Enough.
Yeah. I can't. It just bothers me that every day my feed is flooded with political jargon from these celebrities, but I can't talk to them or find out what we're working on.
Oh, it's exhausting.
There's no conversation. Again, we have announcements made of, Marvel movies or DC movies
that are just getting lost.
And at least James Gunn only talks about what's going on with DC.
Well, James Gunn, learned his lesson. He got hit that one time.
But like everybody else, I can't get any information.
You know who's awesome? McFarlane. That dude
he doesn't.
He is so laser focused.
I was going to say he's got blinders on.
Listen, if there is one person, I don't geek out, I don't fan out or anything. If there's one person that I truly admire, it's Todd McFarlane.
Sure,
because that guy is a master at what he does. Mm-hmm. And all he talks about is what he's doing, and he is he is the quintessential professional.
Yeah, and again,
I always know when there's a new Spawn coming out. I always know if he's going to be at a con. I always know what he's working on, if there's new action figures coming out.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane is one of my favorite social accounts because it is here. This is what we're doing.
Right.
There's nothing on his personal life. He might every once in a while post a picture with his wife or something.
Sure.
But the 99% of the account is just, here's what I'm working on. Here's what we're working on. Here's what's down the pipe. Here's where I'm going to be. And I appreciate it so much because the man, I modeled my business after him.
Sure.
And the man is just a class act.
But the thing is, too, if you get the pleasure of interacting with him, he's only going to interact with what's going on with McFarlane Toys, what's going on with Spawn, he's only going to talk about the business.
He's such a professional.
Right. He's not going to get involved in any of that other stuff.
He doesn't have time.
He doesn't have time, but he doesn't have the want to do it either.
Right. I think he realizes, what he's built, obviously. And, there's no room. And that to me is someone I admire, someone who has that sort of drive and obsession over what he's doing.
Yeah.
Over someone that has all this free time on their hands, and instead of discussing their craft or working on their craft, they want to start reaching out into other avenues that they don't belong in.
Right. And the thing and that's my point is that, either you like what Todd McFarlane is doing or you don't, but it's based upon the product. You're not just pissing off half the country because you're spouting political views and getting into arguments with the other side of your view. Todd McFarlane has 100% of his fan base, and you either buy his product or you don't, just based upon the product that he's putting out.
Right.
If you don't like the new Spawn, you don't like the new Spawn.
Right. You may get behind the man just as a creative, but again, I couldn't tell you any of his personal life, his opinions, any of that stuff, because he's so laser focused on what he's doing. And and Jim Lee's very similar. We don't hear a lot. Every now and then he'll post pictures of his family and his kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And even David Finch, when he's drawing, he might be like, "Oh, we're doing such and such tomorrow," but it's always very much the work, the fandom. And to me, that's so much more appreciated because I look to these, you call them celebrities or artists or whatever you want to call them. They're supposed to be my escape. And as soon as you start bringing, politics in, it stops being about escapism. And now it's just like, oh, I got to hear it from this guy too. And
but you don't, but my big problem is, it's not like you get both. It's not like you get the politics and the work. They're not talking about work anymore. They're not talking about what they do.
I think it's a very easy, I think the algorithm is a cancer.
Sure.
And it's very easy to fall into if I start talking about politics, it's going to boost my rep. It's going to keep the algorithm happy. And I think a lot of them fall into that trap.
Yeah, but again, they're big enough stars where that shouldn't be a problem. If you want to know, if you care enough about these people to follow them, you will follow them, and you will be able to get that information, whether the algorithm pushes you to the top or not. They shouldn't be worried about that problem, because their following base is so large that they're gonna get the notoriety, and their feed will be seen every time that they tweet or whatever platform they may use.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm just, again, and I don't think that just because the election is over, it's going to stop, because...
No, I mean, I'm hoping my feeds go back to normal.
Yeah, me too. It's just that like I said, I just want to see... I don't care, like, again, I'm not a fanboy of these people. I appreciate what they do. Again, I grew up, Star Wars is my thing. Mark Hamill was always going to be somebody that I always looked up to, for playing Luke Skywalker. But, I don't care. I just care about you as Luke Skywalker.
Right, or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what matters to me as well. And, there's a point of frustration. Like, I don't follow many celebrity accounts.
No.
I follow a lot of artists, because a lot of artists don't post this kind of shit. And
right.
It's just like, if I wanted this kind of stuff, I'd be following news outlets, political activists, and people that are boots on the ground and are informed and have true, well-rounded opinions on the subject. I don't want to follow someone who is a celebrity and just because they travel around the country think they have their finger on the pulse.
But they don't, because they live in their own bubble, and they don't represent, like, they can't speak to you and I, because we don't, we're not the same. They live in a very controlled atmosphere that, things like finances aren't going to bother them.
This is both sides of the aisle.
Right,
like,
both sides.
Like, Elon shit was gross. And it's just like, dude, give it a fucking rest. Talk about, when's the next Tesla coming out? Are you working on those robots or what? Like, what's going on?
I mean, we had the rocket that landed itself and was caught by a robot, which was incredible.
Right.
That
Focus
should be
on that shit.
That should be the main focus of what you're talking about on X, because that's technology that we absolutely need going forward, and that it's amazing.
And that's the stuff that people get excited about.
Right.
So instead, and again, like I said, it's very easy for these people to fall into the trap of politics. So I'm hoping that now that the election is behind us, we can start getting back to business as usual, because I want my feeds to be cleared up of all this bullshit, and I want to go back to seeing what people are working on.
Right. And yeah, exactly. I'm interested to know what the projects you're working on. Is it going to get me excited for, the next movie, the next, music you're putting out,
and the thing
whatever.
Is, I'm not saying you don't have a right to your opinion. You don't have a right to post your opinion publicly, but just keep in mind that, you're a creative, and people have bought into your persona as a creative. So you need to get back into the creative sphere, and by just hammering politics over and over and over again, you're losing your core audience.
Right.
Even the people that agree with your politics are going to go, this is a lot.
Yeah. And the thing is, they're going to say, and this is what I say, but how does that affect, whatever happened, whoever won, how does it affect you? It doesn't affect you. So,
but I don't care how it affects you. I care what you're working on.
No, but I agree. I'm saying I don't care how it affects you, but we know it doesn't affect you. It affects me, but it won't affect you.
Right.
So you telling me, how it's going to be, how it's going to affect things, you don't have, that's not a concern of yours, because it's not going to affect you in that way. What's going to affect you is, hey, am I going to get a new role? Am I going to, put out a new comic book? Am I going to be, is it going to be good? Is it going to be something that people want? Give me some sort of reaction there. Can I get excited for something?
And I know I've said it a few times, but I want to be clear. This is on both sides.
Yes.
I don't want to hear it from the right, and I don't want to hear it from the
No,
left.
neither.
I don't care where you lie politically. I care what you're working on.
Right.
And as soon as you become an account that just like Stephen King, you used him as an example. He's an amazing author.
Yeah.
He is. I'm interested to see what he's working on or what things are getting adapted. I don't care what his politics are.
But you know, the thing is, Salem's Lot came out last month, right?
Yep.
I never saw a single mention of Salem's Lot by Stephen King.
I think I saw one post. They gave him a poster.
Yeah.
And he
Okay.
he had it in his kitchen, and he was like, "Oh, they gave me the poster."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but dude, like, you know, back in the day, you'd be hyping it up. We'd be seeing all this stuff, and like that's, I feel like we've lost something, you know, with how, you know, centric politics has become. You know, back in the day, it used to be nobody, like, families didn't talk about politics around the table.
No.
Maybe during an election year you'd have some discussion, but that was it. And now it's this thing where it's ripping families apart.
Yeah.
And regardless of where you sway, and again, I don't like to talk politics on here because, again, this is escapism.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, again, it doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter who won. It doesn't, in whatever side you lean to. I'm just saying, on both sides,
It's just
I
too
only
much.
care.
It's too much.
Right. I don't want to hear about politics. As a celebrity,
Like Mike Tyson did a podcast recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Who you voting for, Mike?" And he said Trump, right?
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh man," and he's like, "What are you going to do about it?"
right?
And he's like, "Look, I'm a person. I have my own, you know, opinions and stuff, and I like Trump." And it's like, cool. So are you going to fight Logan Paul? Like, what's going on with that? Like,
Right.
that's what I'm interested about. I don't care who Mike Tyson is voting for. I don't care what his politics are, because at the end of the day, the beauty of it is my vote counts as much as Mike Tyson's vote.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
if I wanted to vote for Kamala and he voted for Trump, then they cancel each other out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like, I can't, after meeting all these people at the cons and stuff, even if they love celebrities or they're excited to meet their favorite celebrity or whatever, at no point did I meet someone and go, "Oh, that person's going to be swayed to vote one way or another by a celebrity." Like,
Right.
everyone is very intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
and they all have their own opinions, and they all can make decisions. And when famous people or big accounts start talking down to them and telling them how to vote, or telling them who to vote for, telling them what's right and what's wrong, I think it turns a lot of them off.
Right. Well, like, you had that thing with the Avengers, right? You had that really cringe call, that the FaceTime thing that they did just a couple days ago, right? And my thing is, okay, but if you just alienated 50% of the Marvel audience, how did that benefit? Because you did that as Avengers, right? So this isn't this. So my point is, you just did, and that's why I'm saying the Marvel audience. I know that they do other projects, but you did this as the Marvel characters. So you represented Marvel in the Avengers in doing that propaganda, and so 50% now of the Marvel audience is now against you. In Marvel,
but I don't think it should be like that either. I don't think
it shouldn't
50%
be
of the like. I guess,
and I'm not saying it will be.
And I guess I'm more forgiving during an election season,
Mm-hmm.
but it shouldn't. We as a society shouldn't go, "Oh, they're subbing for Kamala." Like, you know, if I'm a Trump guy, like, well, fuck them. It shouldn't be that way.
I know, but unfortunately, there are people that do that and take it that way. But the thing is, why do you want to do that? If I'm an actor or a musician, I want 100% of the audience. I don't know why you would want to. Again, you can vote however you want. You have that private right.
I really think a lot of it is, you know, especially when you're at that level, You're just in love with your own farts.
And I think that's exactly what it is. And I think that they have a moral obligation to do this because they think that they're important. And I just think that it showed how they're really not important.
They are important, but they're not important for the reasons that they think they are.
Right.
They are so important for escapism.
They're important for what they do.
The world is awful. We watch Avengers, we watch superheroes because we want to see the best of us. We want to forget about our troubles. We want to watch good triumph over evil.
Sure.
And that's why they're so important, and that's why they're so loved. But as soon as they start to bleed the real world into things, you go, man, this is a bummer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and that Disney's guilty of this more than anybody.
Right.
When you start bringing real world issues into your storytelling, it stops becoming about escapism.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell stories with moral lessons in them.
Sure.
As we have since we were sitting in fucking caves.
Right.
But you can't, the world is hard enough to say, well, we know this is usually your escapism, but this time it's not going to be.
Right.
And then you go, oh, man, I just spent the little money I had to try to get 2 hours out of the fucking shithole that I'm living. And when you don't get that, you know, it becomes this, well, I don't want to fucking do that anymore. And the same thing goes for the celebrities. You're loved and you're important because you help us escape.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you start subbing for one side or the other, you're bringing the reality into the escapism, and you can't have it both ways.
I mean, and that's the thing. Whether it's sports, whether it's music, these are all things that people put on to forget the real world for a while, forget your troubles for a while, spend a couple hours in enjoying yourself, in immersing yourself in whatever it is you've chosen, and then you have to go back to whatever it is that the real world has dished out for you. But the thing is, if you can never get away from it, if the things that were escapism now, punch you in the face just like real life is doing,
but then why would you even spend the money to do it at that point? And that's I think a lot of these celebrities have forgotten their role in society.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
What I mean? And again, has the culture shifted? Yes, there's no more movie stars anymore.
Right.
Right? Nobody is selling tickets.
No.
But it's still your responsibility as an actor to help us forget. And again, there's docudramas and all that sort of shit where you're going in with the expectation that real life is going to bleed into it. But for the stuff, for horror flicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to watch a killer running around, killing the teens or killing the people. I don't want to have to think about the politics behind it.
Right. But my thing is, I want to be like, hey, you know what? I know it's tough out there. I know things suck. But the new Marvel Disney Plus show is coming out today, starring me as whomever. Go check it out. You don't have to worry.
And the thing
we'll make you forget about it for a while.
And the thing
that's what I want to hear from these people.
And the thing is if you want to vote or you want to share your political ideologies, I say go for it. We live in a country that has free speech.
Mm-hmm.
You should be allowed to express your opinions no matter who you are. But when your account goes from being, hey, I'm an actor, I'm going to help you forget for a little while, to, hey, I'm an actor, I'm going to help you forget, but if you follow me, I'm going to indict you with political rhetoric.
And if you disagree with me, we're going to get into a verbal
fight.
confrontation.
Right. It becomes this thing where it's like, God, is there really nowhere I can turn to get a break?
Right.
Like, that's the thing, is that there's just, when you do this kind of shit, it's like people that want to be active on politics go on social follow people that are in the political sphere, and they have their discussions there, and then they follow you because they want to forget about it, or they need a palate cleanser. You know what I mean? When you're scrolling, when you're doom scrolling, right? And it's, here's a news article, and we blew this up, and, you know, fucking mortgage rates are through the roof, or whatever. Just all the bad shit you read about. It's nice to have that, hey, we got a show coming out, like, get ready, this one's going to blow your mind.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Instead of it being, well, this is, you know, this is what's popular to talk about.
Right. But that's why, you know, going back to something like Terrifier, right? You know, again, I know if you, and if it changes, well, then, you know,
well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
If I'm told Terrifier 4 is coming out, I know,
You're
okay,
hyped.
I'm going in there. I know what I'm getting.
Right.
When we hear about the new Star Wars movie coming out, I'm like, I don't want. I'm going to be preached to. I don't want this because I know what's
with
coming.
Marvel too, is
right.
It's like we were so excited through the first couple of phases, and then phase 4 came out, and it was very much about social issues. And it was like, okay, the next one's coming out. It's like, yeah.
The message. Every movie was about the message. And so you're not excited about Marvel movies anymore. And that now, you know, like Captain America 4 is coming out. It's about the message. We know that. It's clear as day from all the stuff that's come out so far about it. That's all it's about. And it's like, oh, another one. I'm not interested. But you know, again, if a pop-up shows up and says Terrifier 4 is coming out, like, yes, I know.
And you're hyped.
2 hours of getting
excited.
away from all the shit.
From it all. Exactly, which is what it's designed to do. Now, I will say this, you know, talking to people at the cons, right? So I had a good conversation with some people that were into Warhammer.
Okay.
And, you know, they were upset because I guess they were trying to, you know, they got those big hulking giant toxic masculine space marines, right? And they were trying to make women as those space marines. And it's like, that doesn't really work because the whole idea behind it is this is a testosterone fueled nightmare of a Hulk, right? But where I think people kind of get lost is, we shifted conversations to the new Dragon Age game.
Yep.
And they were shitting on the fact that in the character creation, you can create a character with
the top scars.
Yeah. And I said to them, I said, you have to pick your battles. I said, this is an RPG. It's a character creator. It has nothing to do with the story. People want to put themselves in these fantasy positions. I think it's great that they put top scars in that. Who cares? I understand what you're saying about the Space Marines. You can't. The literal idea of them is they're toxic masculine killing machines. But for something like that, like it's not an all or nothing thing. And this is something I feel like we've tried to convey on the podcast, is that it's not black or white. It's shades of gray. And to me, I'll die on that hill. Put the fucking put the top scars in.
Right, but on the flip side of that, though, I also want the toxic masculine male.
Exactly.
I want both.
Exactly.
If I can't have both, I want none.
Exactly.
Like, you can't just give me one.
That's my point, is that put the top scars in, but just understand when a creature is supposed to be a toxic masculine hulking killing machine, don't change that,
right? Because
the fan base will reject it. But I think what some of those fans need to understand is that you can have both. You can have the scars in the RPG maker and keep your toxic hulking killing machines and not lose anything,
right?
So, you know, that was kind of I thought that was a very interesting interaction, because it was like, I totally get where they're coming from. It doesn't make sense to put women in these roles because they're smaller. They won't be able to hang with the other toxic killing machines. But how can you say that you have an issue with top scars in an RPG character creator? a little while later, I was talking to someone that just picked up Dragon Age and was so excited that they were in there because they had top scars. And they were like, I get to build myself.
Sure.
And I said, yeah, that's awesome. That's literally why it's there.
Yeah. But you can't gatekeep. You can't gatekeep.
No. And I think the point, and if nothing else comes from this podcast, I want to get across that you can have both.
Sure.
And you should have both. Because I think the representation, especially in an RPG where you're creating your own character, you can make whatever you want. You want to make a giant, toxic, hulking killing machine? Make it. You want to make someone with top scars that's a little more, closer to reality? Make it.
Everything that exists in the real world can exist in these games, but you cannot do one and gatekeep out others. But
the thing is that I wouldn't be okay if they started changing the lore.
No, you can never change the lore.
Right. So that's what I think we have to. We have to be able to separate the two different things, and I think right now people have a really hard time separating them.
Yeah.
You shouldn't change the Space Marines and make them female. It doesn't make sense.
No.
You should absolutely put top scars in character creation, 100%. You can put the pronouns in because when they're talking to you, they might use your pronouns. Put them fucking in there.
Right.
But if you change the pre-established lore of Dragon Age, then the fans are going to rebel.
Yeah.
But I think we as a society need to be better about identifying that those are two separate issues and not just throw everything under it's woke.
Right.
Right? That's why I always get so uptight when we use the woke statement as like a blanket statement for anything that's diverse, because I think the Dragon Age thing is 100% on the money. I think bringing females into the Space Marines is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Two separate things, but a lot of people just go, "Oh, it's all woke."
Right, but but you cannot keep out. I mean, everything has to be able to be played. You cannot keep out. Now, again, to your point, yes, it doesn't make sense to have females in that realm because obviously
just in that particular, they have females in the game.
No, I mean that going against those particular
guidelines,
Marines,
right?
because
they'll get flattened.
Right, it won't work. But again, but if you say, well, we're not going to have toxic masculinity at all, okay, well then that's going to be a problem. Just like if you say, well, we're not going to accept the trans community at all, well, that's a problem. Both have to exist simultaneously in these games or movies or whatever it is. You cannot pick and choose the ones you want and then be upset that whichever one was left out. You're making fun of, you're criticizing, you're name calling, and you're trying to preach to them about why they should accept what they don't want to accept. Everybody should have the ability to have what they want and play, especially in games, play the character that they want. I mean, I know there was a thing that just came out not that long ago where they polled women, and women said, I want women that look gorgeous, like women. We're not, you keep on making women masculine, and the female gamers are like, but who's that for? Because you're saying it's for us, and we're telling you it's not for us.
But the thing is, right, when I play Space Marines, I'm a big fatty. I don't have fucking muscles and shit, but I want my dude to be
of course,
brick house killing machine. And it's the same idea. When you play the female character, it's the fantasy of it. It's embodying this gorgeous character.
Right.
And I think there's a disconnect between the people that are making the games, the fucking idiots up in corporate that only read off of a sheet, and then the fans. But like I said, at the same time, I think we as a consumer have to do better about being able to say the way Dragon Age is going about things is the right way to go. They're not changing the lore. They're adding more inclusive things into the character creation.
Yeah, as long as the lore, as long as what made the thing popular, again, and this has been our biggest problem with Marvel, our biggest problem with Star Wars, is you've destroyed the lore.
Right. We had
to fit your agenda.
We had a set of established rules that all you had to do was play by those rules, and if you wanted to push Rey or you wanted to push the twins, you can push the twins, you can push Rey, but just you have to play by the rules that were already established. Right. And if you don't do that and then you break the rules and you retrofit in all this bullshit, that's where the fans go, this really isn't for me.
Yeah.
Now, I will say a lot of people liked the Acolyte, talking to them at the con. Like, they liked it.
Sure, there are people that do.
They didn't like the lore breaking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was strong enough to get the series canceled.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, that's the thing, is that a lot of people thought that they really liked the design for the Sith. They thought it was cool Plagueis showed up. They were fine with the twins. They just didn't like that they were, lore-breaking characters.
Right.
And they were. They were. They absolutely were lore-breaking characters.
Right. Well, the thing is, you broke, for no reason, you broke the biggest lore of all, which was Anakin and his birth.
Right, you took the quote-unquote Jesus Christ of the universe and said, just kidding, he's not special.
Right, so by doing that, you ruined Star Wars. You ruined the legacy of Star Wars by doing that for no purpose other than, Leslie Headland had a boner that she wanted to stroke. And that was it, because it shouldn't have been allowed. And this is why, I've always said I think Dave Filoni is the biggest fuck there is. I think this guy knows nothing about Star Wars. If this guy knew about Star Wars, cared about Star Wars, he would have said, look, there's no way we're doing that.
Right, like that's
no way.
Like there are certain things that are etched into, stone that you can't undo. And Anakin being born of the Force, being the only one that's ever been born of the Force, is a one-off.
Right.
But it's just really interesting because, having the opportunity to go to these cons and talk to the fans and really get discussions going with them, I just think it's really interesting because it feels like we're all sort of on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some details I think we need to work out.
Sure.
But all right, with that, let's put this one to bed.
Okay.
Jim, as always.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
What's going on?
Well, just continue to get product out. Check the socials, Jim F0123 Art every week for new art. Head on over to Webtoon. Eva is out. You can read that. And, just working on some new projects. There's some new... hopefully some new things coming in the new year. So just, like I said, keep up to date with the socials.
All right, guys. So that's episode 105 of The Corner. You know where we're at. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is our Etsy store. We're going to be at KidsCon New England up in Portland, Maine this weekend. Then we get 2 weeks off, and we'll be at Northeast Comic Con down in Boxborough, Mass. On Black Friday weekend. So if you're in the New England area, come by, say hey, tell us our opinions are fucking terrible.
There you go.
But what do you guys think? I mean, did you go to Rhode Island Comic Con? Did you have a good time? Did you want to go and you weren't able to? Have you seen Terrifier? Did you see Maxxxine? Do you think we're eating good right now in the horror universe? What are your opinions on celebrities sort of taking up this political mantle and becoming spokespersons for one side or the other? Do you think it's their moral obligation? Do you like that they do it? Do you hate that they do it? And what's your opinion on sort of the current state of things? I mean, do you think we can have giant hulking space marines and characters with top surgery scars, or do you think it's we shouldn't have any of it? Should we have all of it? What should we have? Let us know in the comments. All right, crew. We'll catch you on the next one.